Hi, welcome to another instructional video with Lattice training. Today I'm going to be looking at how to address the problems around your shoulders and neck. Over the years we've heard from loads of climbers that have talked about having issues with their shoulders and neck, whether this is mild pain, small tweaks and injuries, or something that builds up over time and leads to them having time off climbing. So in today's episode, I'm going to go through my favourite exercises to address these issues and make sure that you're robust from injury and you're going to be able to be stronger and better than ever before. So just to get us started, I'm going to talk about the reasons why we're going to be addressing the shoulders and neck. So we see a lot of climbers having rounded shoulders, and this isn't necessarily bad in itself, but it can lead to problems later down the line. So one of the things we often see is climbers having a slightly rounded shoulder position, and then their head moving slightly forward in this position, so their neck is being elongated at the back. What this often leads to is pain when you're belaying, so looking up all the time can cause pain in the back of the neck. And then your shoulders being rounded forward means that you've got lengthened traps. So you often feel really tight around the shoulders in this upper back region. And when you're feeling tight there, it can actually be fatigue in the muscles from being in an elongated position and having these weaker muscles not being able to keep up with the stronger muscles that internally rotate the shoulders. So the exercises that we're going to go through today are actually working those muscles that feel tight. So we're going to strengthen them and bring them back, and that's going to be the upper traps. We're going to help that external rotation, so working the rotator cuff, and we're going to look at the positions that work your neck, so bringing your neck backwards and making sure that your posture is helping you out, and we're going to strengthen those muscles that support that better posture. So once again, it's not the be all and end all to be totally upright and really straight all the time, but it does help prevent some of the issues that we see in climbing and means that your belaying sessions are going to be a lot less painful. So exercise number one, and this is my new favourite exercise, it's a slight alteration on the Gilterson shrug, and effectively it's an upper trap shrug, and it's going to be using a simple dumbbell. What you're going to do is lean off a post or a solid object, so your body's going to be at a slight tilt. Then you're going to have a dumbbell in that arm in the leaning side, and you're going to retract the shoulder, so bring it upwards and backwards into a position working that upper trap. You're going to hold that position at the top for a quick second and then slowly lower it back down. It's a really small movement, and keeping the lean means that you're not going to be rubbing the dumbbell up your leg and providing further resistance. By doing this position, it's going to work your upper traps, and you should feel a burn in those upper trap muscles. And by doing this with quite a heavy weight, it's going to really strengthen those muscles that usually feel tight, but it's actually really going to help switch off any pain in your neck and shoulders. I'd really recommend giving this a go, and there's rarely going to be a downside to doing this type of exercise to complement your normal climbing workouts. I'd recommend doing around 3 sets of 10 reps, really simple hypertrophy sets, or doing around 4 sets of 6 reps for a strength set with a higher weight. You need to be resting either 1 minute or 2 to 3 minutes between sets for each of those protocols respectively. The second exercise we're going to look at is a seated dumbbell external rotation. I think this seated position with the elbow on the knee is a really good position to make the most of the full rotation of the shoulder. Only go down as far as you feel comfortable, and you might feel a little bit of a twinge around the shoulder region to begin with, so don't go too far if you're feeling that and it becomes quite painful. You're going to lift all the way up to the top of that position so your arm is vertical, and lower back down nice and slowly. You can use the same sets and reps as the previous exercise, but try to keep the weight at something quite moderate to make sure the form is perfect. You'll often find that your muscles fatigue quickly during this workout, so 10 reps does add up quite quickly. Make sure you focus on form, and this is a great exercise to increase your external rotator strength and improve that ability to stay open chested, and making sure that those smaller muscle groups are being strengthened at the same rate as those internal rotators, which are much stronger. The third exercise is going to be focused on working those same muscle groups but in a slightly different range of motion. So most of us have heard of I's, Y's and T's, so the arm positions, eyes above the head, Y's slightly apart and T's out to the side. So we're going to be doing that same position, but also adding in an A. So that means that your arms are going down to the sides as well. And if you look from above, your arms are in that A position. So we're going to be doing small repetitions with face down on a bench ideally, and we're going to keep really light weights. We're going to do around 10 repetitions, or the same as before, 6 repetitions per set, but 1 repetition means each of those. So IYTA is 1 repetition. So you're going to feel a real burn in those shoulders. And the idea is to get as far across those movements as possible, so the dumbbell goes as far off the floor as possible. It's best to do this on a bench, just because it increases your range of motion, but you can do this lying on the floor with some pillows under your face and your chest, just to raise the shoulders slightly. Once again, the weights being used on this are really small, and as you can see John's using here, I think they're only 2 kilo weights, so it's very intense. And I've often given this out with people just using cans of food, which often weigh about 500 grams each because it is so hard. Once again, this is a great workout for those external rotators and those trapezius muscles across your back, just making sure that they're being worked throughout a large range of motion. So those 3 exercises are brilliant for working the strength and the range of motions of those upper back muscles, but I'm going to look at 2 more movements which are going to really improve the mobility around your neck and shoulders and also help this issue. So one is like exercise 3, but you're going to be facing the opposite direction, and you're going to be taking some weights from above your head to down by your waist. As you can see, what John's doing here is allowing his arms to move slowly all the way around that range of motion, keeping the weights as low as possible and his chest nice and open. This is a really, really nice movement and stretches out your chest muscles from your pec minor to your pec major in each different position, as well as your shoulders. And if you're ever feeling tight shoulders or tight around the neck, just doing this alone can really relieve any of that tension or pain. So give it a go. Once again, you'll need to be on a bench for this, but you can do it using some other object so that your body's off the floor. Using really light weights, you're going to do around 10 repetitions, 3 sets again, resting around a minute between each set. So the last movement, the last exercise of today, is looking at something very, very simple. So it's going to be a simple neck glide and holding a neck position. And all that is putting your back against the wall and pushing your head backwards and your chin in towards your neck. So the idea of this is really stretching those muscles at the back of the neck and making sure that you're enforcing that nice neutral neck position. It's not something you have to hold all the time, but it can really help relieve any tension around your neck. A lot of Formula 1 drivers do these exercises with TheraBands, and you can add the TheraBand to this movement to make it a bit harder. That's something I do myself. But just to begin with, trying to work this position is really important. And lastly, I think something that's really important that goes alongside this last exercise is trying to avoid looking down at your phone. So whether you're watching this right now on your phone or looking at social media, try to make sure you're lifting that phone up and trying to look at it in that neutral neck position. You don't have to hold that position all the time, but just having that time on your phone looking downwards is going to make it much, much worse. Bring your neck forward and makes all of those belay sessions or hard training sessions much work for your upper back and neck. So I hope you found those exercises useful and enjoyable. I'd really recommend giving them a go if you have any problems with your shoulders or neck, or if you'd just like to make yourself more robust from those problems in the future. Now we're going to try and do more of these sort of episodes coming up and try and look at the health of climbers as well, particularly in the summer season whilst people are out climbing. So stay tuned and follow us on YouTube, and I'll see you very soon.